This brings us to a final issue, which I think is incredibly important, which has to do with why there are no living heroes. In effect, we almost don't believe in heroism. As soon as somebody starts to make us excited about the world and what is possible for the individual, we come to start feeling terrible about that person, unless they're trapped inside of a Marvel movie or something like that. If you go back to the history of ticker tape parades, you will see that there were many ticker tape parades given for individual aviators, individual explorers, ship's captains who put their ship at risk to rescue the crew of another. And in fact, this pattern largely stopped. My contention is that the difficult case of Charles Lindbergh may have marked a turning point. In Lindbergh's case, he had flown solo to Europe from the United States and come back a hero, I believe, in the late 1920s. Now, Lindbergh was a very difficult human being to deal with because he was an authentic hero, and he was also somebody who believed in America first and in isolationism. And given the Nazi menace in Europe, I think that's almost an unforgivable position. Nevertheless, the fact is that Lindbergh commanded tremendous popularity, and that popularity could have been used to keep the U.S. out of a war. What I find is that since Lindbergh, it has been very rare to elevate any individual to the point where they can oppose our institutions. The Pete Seegers and Albert Einsteins of the world, who fought against McCarthyism, were a huge danger to the industry that was cropping up around anti-communism. When it came to the Vietnam War, it was very dangerous to have popular entertainers like John Lennon who were against it. We have been frightened about individuals coming to rival our institutions in terms of power. And that's what's so great about the new revolution in long-form podcasting and all of these other forms of social media. Now, we have a great danger in that most of these platforms are mediated. We saw what happened to Alex Jones. It's quite possible that if these powerful institutions come to believe that a particular individual should be removed, they can always choose to enforce the rules in a different way. We saw recently the advent of terms of service changes to include dead naming. Now, if I say that Walter Carlos composed the album Switched on Bach or performed the album Switched on Bach, that is a true statement. But because Walter Carlos became Wendy Carlos, I have no idea whether or not I can be accused of dead naming. Imagine that you have 100 such rules that are never spelled out, never clear, that can be enforced any which way to deny someone access to the major platforms. This is the great danger with this moment. We have unprecedented access, but we also have a gating function which can be turned on at any time if we fall out of line with the institutions.